Hello, my friends. I hope this devotional finds you well. Today we're going to talk about there be dragons in the Bible. I just got done taking one of Scott Lane's fabulous series on creation, and I strongly, highly recommend that if you can at all make time when he's giving these presentations to go see them because they're just fabulous. And as Scott says himself, the Bible is history. It's a story of origins. It's a story of what's going on today, and it's telling us what's going to happen in the end times when the earth is gone, and what's going to be here after that. One of the things it talks about a lot are dragons, dinosaurs, sea monsters, fiery serpents. Um, Interestingly enough, uh, one of the Bibles I use as a reference is the ESV Bible because it has a really accurate, strong translation, and yet some of their study notes bother me a little bit. Okay, for example, in Job 40, verse 15, they talk about behemoth, and they're clearly talking about a gigantic dinosaur. Let's talk about dinosaur for a second. The term dinosaur didn't come into use until 1841. There's a lot of things that aren't referenced in the Bible. Dinosaurs, pizzas, um, computers, Chevys. That's a bad argument. Okay, I mean, what is being described as a classic, gigantic dinosaur in Job. And yet, when you read the study notes of this fabulous translation, it says this was probably a hippo or a elephant. Well, the tail on this thing, besides being 20 times bigger than an elephant or a hippo, the tail on this thing was like this little dangly thing. You've seen elephants, you've seen hippos. Does that look like a cedar tree to you? And I have to wonder, why would they say such a misleading thing for such an obvious description? Uh, why are they afraid to say dinosaur? It bothers me. And when I see study notes that shy away from things like that, unfortunately, uh, I don't know what else they're misrepresenting in their study notes. So when you do have a Bible that has study notes in it, study notes are not scripture. They're someone's opinion, and we always need to remember that. But in any case, uh, continuing on, let's find some fire breathing thing. Okay, so in Job 41, um, I'm going to read you off starting in verse 15, describing uh, this beast again. His back is made of rows of shields, shut up closely as with a seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They clasp each other and cannot be separated. His sneezing flashes forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the dawn. Out of his mouth go flaming torches. Sparks of fire leap forth. Out of his nostrils come forth smoke as from a boiling pot, and burning rushes. His breath kindles coals, and a flame comes forth from his mouth. Um, I don't think that's a hippo either. To me, that sounds like a fire breathing something, right? And so after I took Scott's class, I get all excited every time I take one of his classes. I did happen to look up some of this stuff on my own. I wanted to see what I could find, and I found 21 references to all these different creatures that are definitely not your run-of-the-mill kind of things that you would see uh, at the San Antonio Zoo. And I even included Jonah's fish, and I know it's a fish. A lot of people mistake it for a whale. It's actually a fish, but consider this. Consider a fish so big that it could swallow you in its entirety and you could live inside it for 3 days. How big is that fish? I would call that a monster. I would call that more than just a fish. And I believe it's true. And as Christians, I uh, believe you think it's true too. So that is definitely not something you're going to catch on a hook with an earthworm, right? The fish would probably rather just eat your whole boat. So why does all this matter? Well, we are under so many attacks today with evolution telling us what we're supposed to know. And when you really sit down and especially if you take a class from Scott, and I've taught some creation classes also, uh, the evidence for a young earth is by far more plausible compared to the evidence for in old earth. Okay, they want you to believe that everything came from nothing and that we're related to apes, and they make fun of our beliefs, and yet their beliefs are absolutely silly. Okay, this really does have scientific facts in it. I'm not going to say this is a science book, but it explains a lot of things that took science thousands of years to figure out. Things like infections and germs, and we lost over 90% of the amputees in the Civil War because they went from one guy to another with a saw and didn't realize that there were germs on those saws, and the men died from infection, for example. And that was in the 1860s. We didn't figure this out until the early 1900s. They didn't anesthetize babies for surgery in the early 1950s because they didn't know babies felt pain. So science is not the end all and be all of everything when you really open your eyes and look at it. Uh, Again, I want to thank Scott for his class, and I hope this whets your appetite, and you go ahead and look up dinosaurs and dragons in the Bible, and you're going to be pretty surprised what you find. I hope you have a great day. Bye.